durch. Shamrock, bitte noch die Kamera rein. Zum Sunny Corner. Deborah, deine Zeit. 1. Jan Scherer gestartet, bereit macht sich Nils Reich. Scherer kommt zum Horseschuh. Mit 101,8 Stundenkilometern. Free Corner. Zielschuss, Geschwindigkeit 136,0. Daumen ins Ziel. Im Ziel in 1,0, in 1,10,34. Start ist reich, die Bahn ist frei. Gestartet, ist reich, Timo Rohner macht sich bereit. 5:55 die Startzeit. Die Schlusszeit noch für Jan Scherer, 1:10:34. Nochmals der Hinweis, wir haben Icebox. We have Icebox at the start. Icebox at the start. Please get ready by time. Horseschuh durch, Geschwindigkeit 104,0. Nils Reich kommt in den Tree. Schuss 138,4. Im Ziel 1:08:65. Anfahrt zum Horseschuh. Horseschuh durch mit einer Geschwindigkeit von 104,98. And please get ready. In 5 minutes we start the race. Please get ready. Lauren Brzoszowski from USA.
Second day of action, race weekend number 4, the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup. We're in beautiful Moritz in Switzerland, the home of ice sliding. Looking down there on the legendary Horseshoe Corner with the almost legendary Horseshoe Bar alongside it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our packed schedule as we get our bobsleigh weekend underway. Today, women's monobob up first, two-man at lunchtime on what looks like being a glorious day here in the Engadine Valley. And this track, over 125 years, they've been sliding from the town of St. Moritz to the little village of Cellarini, not quite so little these days, at the bottom of the hill. 1,700 meters, the only natural track on the planet. It's a relatively long start. You can run this quite deep into the little dink in corner one, but you need to be loaded and quiet there because the two straights that follow with this just tiny little bend in can easily put the sled into a skid. Speed building, as you can hear from the wind noise, into wall. Now there are 2, 3 little pressures there, and then into the first notifiable corners, Snake 1 and 2, down to Sunny. Feel the G-forces here in that 180-degree Omega curve, into Nash and Dixon, named after the Bob Club members from St. Moritz who won gold in Innsbruck 64, out of Horseshoe, diving into Telephone, then Shamrock. First of the left, Devil's Dyke. Quite a hard take on there. You've got to be careful not to hit it hard. Tree, Nameless, and then Bridge, under the railway bridge here, as they have done for a century and a quarter, out of the Gunter Sachs corner, down into Martineau, named after the first president of the Bobsleigh Club, over the Cresta Run, into Portago. You're going uphill here, all the way past the finish line, and up to Frizzoni's Lodge at the new finish area that was created about a decade and a bit ago. Keisha Love, rookie this season, is our World Cup points leader after what has been a sensational start to her driving career, after being a World Championship winning brakeman. Lisa Bukvit, ditto there, by the way, and Olympic champion brakewoman, lies second in the World Cup rankings. There's Lauren Holter, still working her head around these sleds. There's Keisha Love. This is all in the garage just below the start on the way up from the road by the Baron Hotel. We have 20 sleds in our field, Andrea Grecu of Romania among them, and a couple of newcomers on home ice. You saw it in the red jacket there, is Melanie Hassler. And Alana Myers-Taylor returning to racing. She's on tour here with her 2 kids, so she's got plenty on her hands with Nico and Noah. And we have a rookie to start our field, Lauren Bryczowski. Apparently I have to say it in a Jersey accent. I'm going to refrain from doing that again. I was told that that's how it's pronounced, but we'll see. So here we go. Race 4 of the BMW IBSF Women's Monobob World Cup, and our debutante, Laura Bryczowski of the USA, is first off. A winner in North America's Cup racing. This is her first time racing in Europe and in St. Moritz. She's in a borrowed sled. Oh, and skates out of the first corner, getting sideways. This sled, one of 2 in the field. That is an ex-Misha McNeil sled. Hence the yellow. It's not a BMW DHL sled. Like all the others, it's an Ixen sled built in Bavaria for the women's monobob. And Bryczowski, the first on the ice. Early start draw would normally be a great thing here in St. Moritz. It's not quite as ideal because she gets the frostiest track, but that does mean that the runners should grip well. Through Horseshoe, medium line, nice approach into Telephone and Shamrock. Smooth onto Devil's Dyke. Probably going to see higher speeds as the day progresses. 108.1 kilometers an hour, just over 62, 64 miles an hour. Down into Martineau, across the Cresta Run, there it is, underneath the track. And then out of Portago. The finish line is there, and it's a 1:13.54. Well, congratulations and welcome to the World Cup, Lauren Bryczowski. Not the only Polish name in the field, but she is the only American with a Polish name in the field. So 1:13.54, you can hear how stoked she is with that. Talked to her after training, she was just delighted to be here. Got a little too much of a dink in that first corner and then pinballed down the straight. They only have 6 runs in training if you're doing the women's bob and monobob, and you have to split them. If you're only doing mono, you just get 4 runs. So no time to learn a track as complex as this. Good girl, excellent. Now then, a little more experience, but only a little, is Romania's 21-year-old youth Olympic champion from the Lausanne Games in 2020. Where were they held? Right here on this track. So she became a youth Olympic champion here, Georgeta Popescu. It's only her 4th World Cup start. She has got quite a lot of mono experience, but again, you can see pinging around a 6:19 start. So she was here in the Youth Olympic Games 2020, raced in the World Championships last January. And in 2022, she was the Junior European gold medalist. Under 23 Junior silver medalist last season. Oh, little skid down into Nash. Got to come out of Dixon, try and get the line right. Nice height. Oh, but she rattles into Telephone. On the wrong side, coming into Shamrock. Gathers it up in Devil's Dyke. Then into Nameless. And then the first of the big right-handers, Tree. And then Bridge. And then Leap. And the Gunter Sachs curve, the straight down to Martineau.
127.2.
Over the Cresta, into Portago. That transition much less tricky this year than it was last. And across the line, 1:14.34. Well, she finished 16th in the World Championships here, Georgeta Popescu. But her World Cup best result has been a 12th place finish in Altenburg, of all places. So Romania with 2 drivers in the field. Nice height right up by the woodwork. This early, that's sort of frosty, but you get up there, rotate the sled here, and then dive nice and late down into Telephone. She flopped a little too late there. Off horseshoe, slapped the wall going into Telephone, so that took some speed out of the sled. But the height was good. She just didn't rotate the sled, V the corner off quite early enough. Next up, Victoria Černánska of Slovakia. Finished 12th in the World Championships here. And she was the silver medalist behind Georgeta Popescu in the Youth Olympic Games here in 2020. Seen a little bit more of her in World Cup racing. This is her 7th World Cup start. And a tidier exit, so 6:19, same as Georgeta Popescu, but a little tidier exit. There's the speed, so now she's got the best velocity of the 3 sleds so far. That shows the experience. Under 23 junior gold medalist last season, so in the Youth Olympic Games finished behind Georgeta. In the under 23 junior worlds last year finished ahead of her. She's got enough experience in this track to know where she's going. Little rattle into horseshoe and actually gives her a better line, and that's a good exit of horseshoe, and that's building speed, building the advantage. 99k, 61.5 miles an hour, and here's where you really still feel the acceleration. 109.6, 68.1, a mile an hour quicker than Lauren Brzezowski. Good run from Victoria Černánska. 131.2, 81.5 miles an hour on sheet ice with no brakes. Well, they do have brakes, they use them at the end though. 112 rather, 71. That's a nice looking run. And early in the run as well. Well, 12th here in the World Championships, that was a big field. But Victoria's best monobob result, 9th place in Sigulda in February last year, after the Worlds, actually, that was. Yeah, don't let it run you over. Now, coming out of Dixon, she just gets a little tap from the wall, and actually that squares her up pretty nicely. Height in horseshoe is good, not excessive. That's about right. A little later in the day where it's a bit slicker, maybe a touch of extra height, but the exit is good. Look, doesn't fall off the exit of horseshoe, nicely leads her into Telephone. Good stuff. We've seen Romania's Georgeta Popescu. Here is her more experienced teammate, 29-year-old Andreea Grecu. Started as a brakewoman. She's been driving for maybe 6 years now. Third place in the first of our women's monobob races this season in La Plagne, and then 6th and 7th in Innsbruck last time out. It was a double monobob race. There was no mono race in Beijing. Finished 14th in the worlds here. We haven't had a World Cup monobob race on this track before today, so we're not going back to previous history. 5:84, that's a decent start, and Andrea, good, fast starter. And when she gets it hooked up, she really can get the best out of these sleds. This is looking good so far. In the green by 6/10 at Sunny. Well, the first 3 in the draw are always less experienced sliders. Oh, she got late off Nash, rattled the wall down into Horseshoe. So that 6200s has dropped a little. Second best speed. If you don't get a good exit out of Horseshoe, then you lose speed, and all the way down that haunts you. So the gap is coming down fractionally. She'll still be around half a second ahead of Victoria Jananska. These are nice, smooth lines. 80.1 miles an hour, 1.4 miles an hour slower than Jananska. So the gap down to 4600s. But the Horseshoe here was 62 up. That should have been more like 9/10 in front. $1:12.25 for Andreea Grecu. Well, she'll know that the second half of the run could have been tidier, and it all started at the exit of Dixon. She was late on, late off, and then just ended up getting a little drift into the wall, tapped, trying to get it square again into Horseshoe. And here, off the Gunter Sachs curve, sort of late flop, not helping the acceleration there. Okay, so our current leader is Andreea Grecu of Romania. And next we get to our World Cup points leader, Keisha Love. 3 races this season and 2 medals. First, 4th and 2nd she has been. Also 2nd and 1st in November in Lake Placid in North America's Cup racing. So not a bad season so far. Don't forget that she learned to drive over the last season and a bit while also being a World Championship brakewoman, winning races with Kaylee Humphries in the World Cup. It's a 5:87 getaway. Keisha has clearly taken to driving bobsleighs like a duck to water. First time she's driven on this track in St. Moritz, and there is a lot to learn, but look how close she is, just 600s back. And if she's clean out of Nash and Dixon, and she is, then this is where she could start to build a lead. Nice height, nice exit, very smooth. Keisha Love in the green, best speed of all. Still hitting these corners at 70+ miles an hour. Top speed with Jananska. Oh, just getting out away from her in the fast 4 corners at the bottom of the forest. So she's losing a little bit of time. May not be ahead of Andreea Grecu at the line by much. Not at all, 1:12.35. All right. Some work to do for Keisha Love. And it was in Bridge, Leap, Gunter Sachs where she started to get into trouble. And the problem there is they all rush at you. I mean, you're doing 80 miles an hour there. They come at you so fast that if you're late onto one, you're late off it, late in the transition, late. And this is out of Leap, down into Bridge, and then the Gunter Sachs curve. She's rattling around and sideways going in there. And at that speed, it takes a lot of ice to gather the sled up. Now then, Alana Myers-Taylor wasn't here in the World Championships, didn't compete last season as she had her second baby, but she is back. Our Olympic silver medalist in women's monobob. No question at all that Alana can drive a sled, 2-man, 4-man or mono. What she is struggling with, being a new mum, is the extreme levels of fitness. 5.97, that's still a good, strong start. 4th, 5th and 6th so far this season, her return to racing. She was a winner 2 years ago in the Women's World Series for monobob before it became the World Cup. She had plenty of pace. 1800s back, now reducing the deficit, 1300s back. Nice out of Sunny, into Nash and Dixon. She knows this track really well. This is the sort of track that suits Alana's driving style. She's fluid and smooth. She does not like to hustle the sled. She likes to just guide it smoothly down the ice. This is beautiful stuff from Alana Myers-Taylor. Best speed we've seen. We will see faster starts. You're not going to see many nicer lines. 130.7, 81.2. Victoria Chinanska still the fastest at the bottom. They're all identical sleds, 112.08. Alana Myers-Taylor with the lead. Sophie Latour there, coaching the US bobsleigh team this season, no longer managing bobsleigh and skeleton, so a little bit more of a quiet time. And she digs in, former brakewoman, back in the run into the 2002 games, 2006 games. Alana learned all of those brake pushing techniques, and that works well for her. And look how far back she sits in the sled. There, look how much steering is going in. On the D-rings, you could see her hands almost maxed out there. But that's to get it hauled down. Now then, Bianca Ribby won her first ever World Cup start in monobob in Whistler at the beginning of last season. 10th and 11th so far this year. What's she going to make of this track? 6.05, a little bit skatey. She's a trainee firefighter. Quite a number of Canadian winter sport athletes have gone into the fire service in Canada. $1,700s behind Alana Myers-Taylor. Coming down into Sunny. Need a nice smooth exit here to set you up. Quite an early take on into Nash this year. Nash and Dixon, relatively benign. Last year in the World Champs, they were quite tricky. Nice height, great exit. Here we go, this is where the speed comes. Only the 5th best speed at the moment, though. She may be working just a little too hard to get the lines. 4th best speed. It's coming, but the gap to Alana is growing. This is about a top 4 run at the moment. Just behind Keisha Love, perhaps, for Bianca Ribby. 3rd best speed. Again, the smooth lines are gradually working, bringing the speed across the line. Oh, 5th place, 112.76. Well, the girls were in fine form this morning. Saw them at breakfast, and before they'd even had coffee, they were bouncing off the walls, excited to go racing here in St. Moritz. Let's take a look at the height here in Horseshoe. That's good, rotates it nicely just under the big screen there. And then straightening the runners, leading her beautifully into Telephone. It's a really nice line. Here you are, smooth take on, uses the height in Telephone. Nice stuff. Eighth of our 20 starters, race 4 of the BMW IBSF Women's Monobob World Cup here in St. Moritz is Bree Walker, the 31-year-old Aussie. 2 silvers, 2 bronzes in her World Cup career. She was 5th in the Winter Games, 4th in the World Championships. Coached by Pierre Luders there himself, a double winner on this track. 5:89. She's such a strong starter. Didn't go home for nearly 3 years during the COVID era. She's been based in Germany much of the last quad, working, training on the push track, in the gym, perfecting her technique. She's a serial winner in women's monobob. 11 wins before the start of this season. And a really strong World Championships performance, close to the medals, tantalisingly close. 2200s ahead of Alana Myers-Taylor. Great smooth lines again from Brianna Walker. Best speed we've seen, 68.8 miles an hour, 1:10.8. That's really impressive speed. Brianna Walker is going to lead here, and she will set a new track record as well. First to do so was Lauren Brzezowski, but it's now down to 1:11.79. So Brzezowski set the record this morning, 1:13.54. Then it came down with Victoria Jananska, 1:12.7. Andrea Greco, 1:12.25, 1:12.08. Alana Myers-Taylor. Now 1:11.79 is where the record stands, Brianna Walker. Records are created every year new because the track is hand-built and subtly different. Not the highest line, but kept it out of the frost, held the height, and then relaxed it off the end of the corner. If you're being critical, she might think maybe a little late there as well. And she will be critical. You can see her driving away there in her head. Now then, Cynthia Appia, 2 World Series wins and 2 in North America's Cup. So far, a silver and 4 bronze medals in World Cup racing. In women's monobob, she finished 6th in the World Champs. Oh, and a huge skid there off the zero curve. 5:89 is a good quick getaway, but she gave all that speed away. And look, only the 6th best velocity. $1900s back as she gets to wall through snake 1 and snake 2. Speed a 1/4 of a second, no, 3/10 back at Sunny. Down into Nash and Dixon. Just avoids a little lump of ice that's sticking out of the wall there. Hits onto telephone though. That's taking speed out of her as well. Only the 7th best speed out of 9 sleds so far. Again, hard take on there as she got onto tree. Leap to sacks, little rattle there as well. Not the ideal drive. 3rd best speed at the bottom still. And Sin across the line in 5th place, 1:12.62. Lots to think about. She'll be watching the replay on the big screen as well in a moment. That's out of horseshoe. Hard hit. Take on into telephone. And this is leap to sacks. Again, late off leap, down into sacks. Work to do for the 2nd heat. 11th World Cup start for Switzerland's 25-year-old Melanie Hassler. 1 World Series win last year, or 2 last year. 7th in the Winter Games. Silver medalist in La Plan. First monobob medal. Good load, leaps in quickly, makes the best of the first corner. 5:87, that's a good start. She has a little bit more ice time, perhaps, than some of her rivals. Looking around the sled, look how low she's sitting. 100th in the lead, ahead of Brianna Walker. They had the Swiss Championships here on New Year's Eve, but There were a lot of other athletes training here after Innsbruck between Christmas and New Year when the track was open, so she's not the only one. Oh, Nash to Dixon, odd line. Maybe the Swiss are looking at something different there. 100th behind, coming out of Nash, 400s out of Horseshoe, but now best speed, but a tap there as she goes into Devil's Dyke. This is going to be close, only the 5th best speed. It's not going to be as close as she wants, though. Below Horseshoe, not as good as she would have hoped for. A little tap between Martineau and Portago as well. Tucks ahead out of the airstream, 1:12.01. Rico paid a little applause there with Peter Ramside in the blue cap, but yeah, top half was good, bottom half a little less so, 1:12.01. So Melanie Hassler in second place, ahead of Lana Myers-Taylor, but behind Bree Walker. Yeah, that hamstring is still giving her trouble. Mara Morell there going, you okay? Well, here we come, down into Nash and Dixon, past Monty's Bolt. Interesting line here, straightens it up almost, tries to avoid getting onto Dixon at all. Just skirts around the bottom, and here down in the forest, a little tap away, not what you want. Well, as we've said already, work to do. Lisa Buchwitz, bronze medalist in the MonoBob World Championships here last year. Already a 3-time gold medalist in women's MonoBob. All 3 of her wins have come in Innsbruck. Ooh, 5:83 start. She's such a strong athlete, former Olympic break woman, World Championship winning break woman. And Lisa now, that little skid has taken the speed out of the sled. Won in Innsbruck last year, won 2 races. It was a double MonoBob weekend in Innsbruck before Christmas. So she won both of those and also won the women's bobsleigh race. So she had 3 gold medals in Innsbruck before Christmas in one weekend. That's quite some going. Only the 5th best speed, drifting away into the Melanie Hassler zone. Speed coming back. You can use whatever runners you wish, your own choice of runners, but the sleds are the same. Best speed of all from Buchwitz. 1:31.7 across the line. How far back? Only a 10th back. Good stuff. Good recovery from Lisa Buchwitz. Three golds, a silver and a bronze in MonoBob World Cup races for Lisa Buchwitz. Again, late onto the first dink, gets a tap on the wall and those skids. Does get herself settled though. And coming down out of Dixon, did she get a little tag on the wall? I think she might just have done that, just pings the front away. Right, Lisa Buchwitz in second, ahead of Melanie Hassler. Bree Walker, our first heat leader. 11 of 20 sleds down. Brianna Walker leads from Lisa Buchwitz and Melanie Hassler. Alana Myers-Taylor in the mix as well. World champion Lara Nolte for Germany. First heat, race 4 of the BMW IBSF Women's MonoBob World Cup. We're in St. Moritz in Switzerland, where she claimed her greatest MonoBob glory so far. And that, ooh, slips as she gets in that after crashing out of the women's race, which she was also pretty much expected to be in the mix for the medals there as well. Got her first ever MonoBob medal in Lake Placid last year. And that was a gold medal winning run, and that unlocked the floodgates. She's had 2 gold, 2 silver and a bronze so far in 10 previous starts. This is her 11th World Cup getaway. The world champion knows how to get a sled down here quickly, but 2 tenths back. Nice exit. Best speed of all in the forest. Is she going to be able to drag this back and challenge Brianna Walker for the lead? Second best speed. She's not really slicing into the deficit at the moment. This is behind Melanie Hassler and out of the top three. Best speed of all into Martineau and Portago. And across the line, 200s in the lead, 1:11.77. So a new track record for Lauren Alter. That's impressive stuff off a 5:93 start. Fastest we've seen was Lisa Bukvitz, 5:83 start record for Lisa. You can hear everybody blowing. Now, as she steps over the sled, her hand misses the side of the cow. Ouch. Oh, it's not a razor edge, but even so, you're falling down onto the edge there with your armpit. Ouch. Yeah, she's frozen. It is bitterly cold. It was about -18 this morning coming into the track. It is still not warm at all. Margot Bock of France now. Only the 4th World Cup MonoBob start for Margot. Race winner in the MonoBob World Series and 2 Europe Cup MonoBob gold medals as well. 8th, 9th and 12th so far this season. Her best result coming in the season opener for MonoBob, her home track at La Plagne in France. Finished 11th in the Winter Games, 13th in the World Champs here last year. Rattles the first corners off a 6:12 start. Needed to have a smooth run through the zero curve, but didn't get one. Again, you saw like Lauren Alter looking around the cowl of the sled, trying to sit down as low as possible. Margot not the tallest of athletes, and that makes it easy to stay out of the airflow. 3,300s back at Sunny. Good height in Horseshoe. Nice and quiet onto Telephone. Little late flop. Hits Devil's Dyke twice as a result. Or the Shamrock to Devil's Dyke transition. This is tidier, but the speed has gone away. Down to the bottom, she's going to be battling with Bianca Ribbi and Lauren Brzezowski of the USA. Where's she going to be at the line? 11th place. And how far ahead of Brzezowski? Well, about 6/10, 7/10. So Margot Bock, a 10th behind Bianca Ribbi for 10th place. 1:12.86. Too many errors creeping in there, I'm afraid. Carla Seneschal at the back there, who'll be with her, I think, in the women's race tomorrow. Good height, but it's late. Look, she's still hanging up there and then has to steer out hard. Really had to haul it off, and as a result, slaps a little into Telephone. And then here, out of Shamrock, the transition to Devil's Dyke. You shouldn't be touching those. You should be coming on smooth onto Devil's Dyke. Yeah, work to do. First of our Chinese sliders is Ying Qing. 9th World Cup start for the 25-year-old. She was 9th in the Winter Games, but did not complete the World Championships. She rolled out of Horseshoe on the first heat. Not something she'll want to repeat. That will be in her mind. Lauren Alter, I talked to her in training. She was still thinking about Horseshoe, because again, she parked it out of Horseshoe in the women's race. Ying Qing in the lead off a 5:93 start. Lauren Alter also started 5:93, our current leader. Some good stuff from the Chinese driver right now. 500s up on the world champion. 1100s up on the world champion. And now here comes her nemesis, rearing up in front of her. Conservative line, but a good exit. She'll build the speed from here. 1,500 up, not quite as quick as Nolte. Brianna Walker was fastest at the next speed trap. Oh, she's not really there. If she's clean here, she could have, she's not. She could have the lead, but it's gone away. And that is going to drop her maybe into 3rd place, maybe into 4th place. At the line, it is 4th, 2,300s back, 1:12.0. So she's 100th ahead of Melanie Hassler. Melanie now out to 5th, but still within a quarter second of the lead, within 1,300 to the medals. Yanis Minitz there with a little tap on the head. That was a good drive for Ying Qing. The significant error was in Sachs, but this was good. She didn't go ambitious high, but what she did was drive it off. Watch the runner tips, straightening up there as she drops it down out of horseshoe and into telephone. Nice and calmly done, but here, little late onto Sachs, and that spat her off into the wall. And that took 2/10 out of the sled, probably by the finish line.
Yes, till Sachs you were leading.
Yep, there you go, till Sachs you were leading. And also he'll go, did you hit the woodwork? Not on that run. Next up, Adele Nicol for GB, made her debut in Innsbruck, so this is only her 3rd World Cup race, her 2nd track of World Cup action. British and Welsh Championship winning shot putter, and supported by the Newtown Saints, not some 90s rock band. They're a football club from Oswestry in Great Britain. Looking for a bit more budget to complete her season. And Adele, former brakewoman, really taking very well to driving. Started 6:02. She'll be looking for a top 10 result. Didn't compete here in the World Championships last year. She was learning to drive and hadn't got qualified by that stage. Now, we're going to qualify her 2-seat sled as well. Nice height, nice exit. This is where we build the speed. Here we go. Nicely out of telephone, smoothly onto Devil's Dyke. Look at that, best speed of all. And that's going to stop the gap enlarging. 4th best speed, excellent stuff below horseshoe from Adele Nicol. Very nice lines. Fantastic stuff. 2nd fastest at the bottom. And Adele Nicol of Great Britain ducks her head away, 1:12.44, top 10 run. Sean Olsen on the left-hand side, and Graham Richardson on the right. Sean Olsen, Olympic medalist in Nagano 98. Helping out with the development, helping out, coaching the young drivers in Team GB. Good stuff. Well, big skid early on, and that's quarter of a second minimum, 3/10 there, taken out because it haunts you all the way down. Nice height. Watch the runners, steering, 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 and straighten her up. There we go. Good stuff from Adele Nicol. 15 sleds in, your race being led by Lauren Alter, the world champion, from Brianna Walker and Lisa Buchwitz. Wai Ming of China next up, 6th in the Winter Games, only 11th place in the World Championships here last year in the MonoBob. 13th, 14th and 13th this season. Has not quite been at her best, I think it's fair to say. Total of 15 at MonoBob races now, not as many as some of her competitors, and again, massive, massive problems with the zero curve. It's always a question as whether you allow the sled to rise up and down there and risk not hitting it right and skidding, or you try and slide around underneath it and risk skidding. The risk is always skidding. Doesn't really seem to make much difference which way they try. Inevitably, sooner or later, everybody's going to skid. She rattled into Sunny. This is a bit of an untidy run. Little tap going into telephone as well. Better from Shamrock to Devil's Dyke. No speed on board. dear, this is a disappointing run for Wide. She's not going to be at all pleased with this. Right from the very first corner, it was going wrong, and that speed deficit haunting her all the way down the track. 14th out of 16 sleds at the line. She's better than that, she's more experienced than that. 1:13.42. Well, when the getaway is a 6:06. Yeah, maybe. Now let's take a look down into the zero curve. Does she ride up it? No, she tries to drive past it, and that allows the sled to skid in. Then the rear runners rise up and just get spat across the track. Trying to avoid it is really playing with fire, or in this case, ice. All right, well, Wai's got plenty to do in the second heat. Getting away very quickly, though, is Katy Beil of Austria. Oh, and again, she tries to take as little of it as possible, gets a big skid. Katy off a 6:06 start, same as Wai. 14th in the Winter Games. Didn't do the World Championships here. She missed last season entirely because at the end of the 22 season, she had a mini stroke in postseason and then had to recover. So she's come back to driving this year. Oh! I can't remember if I've ever seen anybody roll off Dixon, but that had the looks that something might go spectacularly wrong there. She's having as disappointing a run as Wai Ming, I'm afraid. Katy Beil, the Women's Bobsleigh World Cup champion in the run into the Games in Beijing. Struggled to find that kind of form in her return to ice this season. 1:13.01. Well, 4500s or 4400s, less of a disaster than Wai Ming's run. That puts her in 14th ahead of Wai. But there's one that she'll very happily forget. Well, here, Nash to Dixon. Whoa! I think if that was a two-man, even a two-women sled, if that was a two-man sled, that would have gone over. Yeah, I know. Linda Wyszewski now for Poland, 18th in the World Championships. World Cup best result, a 12th place finish in the first of the two races in Innsbruck just before Christmas. This is only her 4th World Cup race. Her first senior level monobob race was the World Championships, and then she's done the World Cup so far this season. 14th, 12th and 15th. Got several years of monobob racing at the junior levels under her belt. And gets a much better exit. Oh, gets away with it. 5:95. Good start for from Linda Wyszewski. Wyszewski, I beg her pardon. 200s off the lead of Lauren Alter. This is excellent stuff from the Polish slider. Oh, a little late maybe. Out of Snake 1. Only 400s back at Sunny. 200s first to second at the moment. 1200s back in third is Lisa Buchwitz. Nice height, nice exit. 800s back, but only the 8th best speed. Little rocky from Shamrock to Devil's Dyke. Little skiddy here as well. 2/10 back, only the 10th best speed. Could still be a top 6 run from Linda Wyszewski. Ooh, little wavy there. Oh, superb up to Horseshoe. 9th place at the line, 1:12.44. Well, you can divide that run into 2 distinct halves. Superb to Horseshoe, and And then just a little meandery and wavy and didn't quite have the lines, and drat. Whatever the Polish is for drat, that's what she's thinking. So take a look here at Horseshoe. Medium line, not risking much. Holds it a little late. Nice smooth transition though. Does she bump onto telephone? No, looked okay, but below that, more to do. Linda Wyszewski though in the top 10, tied with Adele Nicol of Great Britain, as we get to our second debutante, Kelly van Petegem. Last time she was here, she had her head buried between her knees as a brakewoman. She leads the Europa Cup standings in MonoBob. She's had podiums in Lillehammer, Sigulda, and 2 podiums in Altenburg. You can hear the voice of Anne van Nieuwenhuis at the top, who drove with Kelly as a brakewoman. She made 2 World Cup starts in women's bob as a brakewoman. A little skiddy at the start. But fantastic to see another young Belgian pilot on their way up the order. Ooh, little skid out of Sunny, into Nash, skid, into Dixon. Oh, she's in trouble there. Yikes. Okay, don't panic, hits telephone. The speed here, you really have to have your wits about you. You can't be worrying about a mistake you made. You've got to have your head ahead of the sled and be thinking about where you're going, not where you are or where you were. Even the slower of the sleds are doing 80 miles an hour plus at the bottom of this track. That is not an environment in which you can dwell on an error. 1:13.22. There's Anne on the right-hand side. Good to see her back at a track. She's a physical fitness trainer these days, runs her own company. And Kelly, all right, she'll be frustrated with herself, but her first ever World Cup race as a driver, wouldn't be at all surprised if she was A, freezing, and B, very nervous. But here, coming past Monty's Bolt, big skids, Nash and Dixon. Look at this, hits very hard onto Nash, and then Dixon, whoa. Just as well, she's quite tiny. All right, Kelly, you're in the big leagues. Well done on making it here. And finally, 20th of our sleds is Kim Kalicki, 5th in the Worlds. World Championship winner in women's bobsleigh. She raced in a plan and then had to pull out of Eagles. She was not fit. 6:01, so it's only her second race of the season. Nice, quiet drive from Kim Kalicki. But a 6:01, only the 11th fastest start. When Kim Kalicki and Lara Nolta arrived on the World Cup scene in women's bobsleigh, they started winning medals from day one. Kalicki is not the fastest starter. Lara Nolta's not the fastest starter either. Boy, can they drive. Nice lines and absolutely quiet. Not a lot of rattling from the sled, but not rattling of the walls. Best speed of all, 100 dead. Same speed there as Adele Nicol. Same speed there as Adele Nicol, 1:10.2. Brianna Walker was quicker. She's not catching. She was 800s behind at the start, 800s behind now. Second best speed. Is she 800s behind at the line? No, 2200s back, 1:11.99. That's because she disappeared from sight. The girl's laughing. 1:11.99, but it's worth 100. And do you know what that means? If she hadn't, she'd be tied with Ying Qing and only 100th ahead of Melanie Hassler. As a result, she's 200s ahead of Melanie Hassler and 100th ahead of Ying Qing. Again, look at Horseshoe. Not the most aggressive line. She may go higher in the second heat. But the key is using that height to speed your way down the track, and that means a clean entrance to telephone, and she definitely had that. Good stuff from Kim Kalicki. She lies in 4th place and definitely in the hunt for the medals. Our first heat leader, though, is Lauren Alter, the world champion in women's monobob. Earned that gold on this track just under 12 months ago. January 2023. Will she take gold again? Well, she leads by a tiny margin, but she does have the lead, and after that uncomfortable start, she'll be hoping for more in the second heat. Thumbs up from Lauren Alter, leads by 200s from Bree Walker, and then Lisa Buchwitz in 3rd. Then look at the logjam. Kalicki 22, Yingqing 23, Melanie Hasta 2400s back. Alana may not be out of the medals for Andrea Grecu, Keisha Love, and then Adele Nicol tied in 10th with Linda Vyshevsky, then Cynthia Appia, Victoria Chinanska, Bianca Ribby, Margot Bock. They've got a little battle going on there. And Kelly van Pettigem, Wai Ming Ming. They'll be hoping to tidy things up, and Lauren Brzezowski on her debut will only feel more relaxed in the second heat, and that will come up at 10:30 local, 09:30 GMT, 04:30 Eastern. We'll see you then. Till then, from the IBSF TV crew here in St Moritz, me, Martin Haven, saying thank you for joining us. We will see you at 10:30.